What's up, men and nerds? This video will pull from every resource available to completely understand the New Republic's version of the Super Star Destroyer, the Mon Calamari Viscount-class Star Defender. Let's pause and thank this video's sponsor, HelloFresh. Don't let recipe boredom keep you from reaching your goals. Give HelloFresh a try and choose from 30+ calorie-smart and protein-smart recipes each week. Packed with fresh ingredients, everything arrives pre-proportioned and right at your doorstep, really solving the problem of eating great while saving time and money. When you try HelloFresh, you'll get free breakfast for life. Start your day right with one free breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. My favorite thing about HelloFresh is the variety. It's able to use a wide array of cooking styles and ingredients, but it's still very easy to follow along with. All the cook times are reasonable and none of the steps are difficult. But still, I found myself learning simple things. Specifically, it said to use the white parts of the green onion while you're cooking. I've always just really used the green parts. And they make everything really easy to keep on top of, even when life gets busy. HelloFresh lets you easily customize your delivery from week to week, mix and match lifestyle options to suit your needs like fit and wholesome, family-friendly, quick and easy, vegetarian, and more. And everything can be tailored to your schedule by adjusting your delivery date, and even skipping a week when you're not able to cook at home. Your support helps me to keep this channel running, so click the link down below or use my code to subscribe to HelloFresh and help contribute to this channel. Great food, great variety, and really convenient. To get started, click the link in the description and use my code to get 10 free meals and free breakfast for life. One free breakfast item per box while the subscription is active if you're in the US. Outside the US, the local discount will apply. Thanks again to HelloFresh. After the NR took Coruscant, the Mon Calamari allies became this sort of new Kuat Drive Yards, which is in itself a nice compliment to the moral consistency here. It would be a bit on the nose, an obvious critique, that the warmongers were running all the governments if Mon Mothma and the gang just kept working with Kuat, pumping out new arrowhead-shaped Star Destroyers that just have a pretty phoenix sigil on it. It would be too obvious that no real change happened, since the fish folks were the most important military asset and themselves had no aims on slowing down production. The Mon Calamari Shipyards came to encircle their homeworld, and they produced the main vessels for the remainder of the NR and beyond into the Galactic Alliance era. The first prototype was only 3 kilometers long or 1.86 miles. I get that's funny I just said only, with even this prototype being nearly twice the length of the Imperial Star Destroyer. But the final production model of the Viscount would be 17 kilometers or 10.5 miles, which is obviously trying to prove that they could match the most intimidating and technically difficult ship produced by Kuat. That length actually gets you a secondary type classification as space stations, as they are nearly the size of Manhattan Island, or 176 times the International Space Station floating over us now. We do not know how much the taxpayers actually shelled out to the Mon Cals. Same story for the Super Star Destroyers actually. So it was probably so obscenely expensive that the rulers deemed this should be kept classified. No need to make the citizens extra angry. But since Star Wars ships generally scale with size, being 12 times the ISD, maybe they cost around 1.8 billion, or enough to put a gonk in 18 million homes. Though the same size, the squids show off their superior engineering skills over Kuat in a lot of areas, from increasing the starfighter capacity and a much smaller crew requirement to operate this city-sized ship. And we get a lot of great and specific detail on the standard complement, totaling 168 normal and 48 heavy starfighters, equating to 3 starfighter wings, breaking down into 60 T-65A3 X-wings, 12 T-65XJ X-wings, 48 E-wing escort fighters, 48 B-wings or the later K-wing assault starfighters, or even Y-wings. And then you get an insane range from anywhere from 84 to 1,000 additional support vessels, being a variety of smaller shuttles, troop transports, drop ships, or enormous landing barges, which would help shuttle around the 12,500 troops and up to 500,000 passengers. That's far more than any other ship we've ever covered. But maybe even more impressive and indicative of their greater respect for all life, whereas TIE pilots were famously seen as disposable, the Viscount always had enough craft in the form of transports, frigates, and down to the smaller emergency life pods to make sure that they could always evacuate 500,000 people on board, with the actual crew needed to operate this being 68,174, which is less than a quarter the crew of the Executor. In the last video, I covered the torpedo sphere, and more proof of what I was saying that despite having exact torpedo numbers, the cargo capacity stat was a great clue that there was an insane amount of individual torpedoes, because that slightly larger than an ISD vessel carried 3.8 million metric tons. But this enormous Star Defender with 500,000 people only has a 200,000 ton cargo capacity, which is said to be enough to support all those people for 6 years. and it helps this thing truly act like a mobile space station fortress, being able to travel around the galaxy and instantly create a New Republic headquarters in any system in the galaxy practically overnight, moving with its Class 1 hyperdrive, which was faster than the Executor. We don't get any speed stats in normal space, but it was likely around the SSD, which had a 40 megalight rating and a maximum acceleration of 1,230 G. All along the surface are various docking rings to connect to just about every type of ship you could think of, including the mainline capital ships. And of course, everything is streamlined, being all produced by the same factories on Mon Cala. A great detail I think is often missed with this impressive size and power is the support system. There were enormous armies of repair droids on board to service anything that might be docked to the space station, and they could be quickly moved throughout the Viscount during battle to make it like the video game boss with healing power. The droids all quickly and effectively healing itself. That is combined with the glorious Calamari shield tech, itself known to often be in multiple layers and be more rapidly regenerating. So combine all that and you have one of the most difficult to kill ships in history. Then, since this was meant to be operating for up to 6 years, mopping up the Imperial remnant and securing peace, they worked in whole back to farming sections. Red Alazi and Kavum are the key bacteria that work with a grain to break it down into a gelatinous substance dubbed the Miracle Healing Fluid that replaced the Colto of the Old Republic era. I have a whole video on that if you want to check it out. While there were times that back to production was so limited that opportunists tried to capture the entire market, the Viscount made sure that its station would not be at the whims of some artificial shortage, or have its precious blue goo stolen by pirates mid-shipment. So you have droids that can repair other droids and the ships of its complement, those connected to it, and the Viscount itself, and the crew and passengers can be healed up too, all without ever needing to leave the ship. And perhaps the best for last, the 5,000 weapons that are a perfect mix to cover any threat they might come across. And all these numbers are actually the amount of batteries, which is usually 10 guns per battery. So really you could think of it as 50,000 individual guns. 2,000 heavy turbolaser batteries, 400 at the fore, 600 on the starboard, 600 on the port side, and 400 at the aft. Similar spread with the 2,000 turbolaser batteries, 400 fore, 800 starboard, 800 port side. There are 200 assault concussion missile tubes, 100 at the fore, 50 on the starboard, 50 on the port side, and each of those tubes has 30 missiles. There are 300 heavy ion cannon batteries, 54, 50 aft, and 100 on each side, 500 point defense laser cannons, 100 fore, 100 aft, and 150 on each side, and 40 tractor beam projectors, 20 at the fore, and 10 on each side. Now that is said to be on par with the SSD. For comparison, the ISD only had 145 guns in total. Even if that's meant to be in batteries and 1,450, that's still far less overall, and it had nowhere near the variety of weaponry. As for its history, the development and design traces back to the period following the Battle of Endor. Admiral Akbar saw the remaining Super Star Destroyers that were still under the control of the Imperial Remnant as the biggest threat to the nascent New Republic Navy. To address this, he proposed the construction of warships on a similar scale to counter these Imperial vessels. Progress on this program was slow and required years of development. The threat posed by the rogue Executor-class Star Dreadnought Intimidator during the Black Fleet crisis was a critical factor that eventually accelerated this project, leading to the finalization of these larger dreadnoughts. While the New Republic had previously relied on Mon Calamari battleships and Bulwark-class battle cruisers, it had never attempted a construction project of this magnitude. But under the pressure of the Black Fleet crisis, those Mon Cala engineers gave us the Viscount. The first ship of the class, the smaller prototype battlecruiser named the Viscount, was completed in time to combat rogue Imperial warlords, pirates, and hidden bases. It was officially commissioned in 25 ABY, 21 years after Endor and just before the outbreak of the Yuuzhan Vong War. Perhaps the Force itself got involved in that acceleration of this project. The Viscount's brief engagements during the post-Civil War periods were its only chance to fulfill its original purpose of battling Imperial targets, with one of the most notable encounters being with an Executor-class Star Dreadnought, the ultimate test of Mon Cala versus Kuat designs. To help increase the production time, the Mon Calamari Shipyards would work with the Corellian Engineering Corporation, who would also produce the Trident-class Star Defender, the only other known Star Defender types. But they all would play pivotal roles in the Yuuzhan Vong War. After the extra-galactic threat was defeated, the New Republic transitioned into the Galactic Federation of Free Alliances, and the Viscount was considered a key component of the fleet that was considered the backbone of the Galactic Alliance Defense Force. In 27 ABY, the dreadnought Grokana was deployed to Kuat to serve as an orbital battery, but was rumored to have been destroyed en route by the Yuuzhan Vong. Another vessel of the same class, the Bounty, though unfinished, successfully defended Mon Calamari from direct Vong attacks for years. And during the decisive battle for Mon Calamari, the Viscount-class Star Defender showed its massive power in this crucial naval engagement. It was part of a trio of heavy warships deployed by the Galactic Alliance Defense Fleet, alongside the Executor-class Guardian and the Mon Calamari battlecruiser Harbinger. These three ships used their formidable long-range weaponry to target the heart of the Yuuzhan Vong fleet. With those 5,000 or 50,000 guns on just a single Viscount, you can imagine the output of this combined fleet, and these played an invaluable role in saving the galaxy. By the time of the Sith Imperial War, the Viscount and other large warships in the battlecruiser and dreadnought categories had been retired. Fleet doctrine shifted towards smaller, more compact weapons platforms. New Mon Calamari designs, like the MC-140 Scythe-class main battlecruiser, became the mainstay of the Alliance fleets, reflecting this dramatic change in strategy. So that's it for its breakdown, and as for behind-the-scenes facts, it first appeared in the 1999 novel The New Jedi Order: Vector Prime. And the specific ship details come from the New Essential Guide to Vehicles and Vessels, the Legacy Era Campaign Guide, and the Essential Guide to Warfare. And all the clips and other sources used are linked down in the description. Please hit that like button, it's the best way to help me out. Subscribe to see more and check out these other videos, I'm sure you'll like them. But most important of all, remember, if you get a choice, make sure you get stationed on a Viscount, not an SSD, where your hard work is rewarded with Bacta tanks and a guaranteed ticket on an escape pod. And the Force will be with you, always.